The Fairview fire of September 2022 burnt down a huge portion of the wilderness that has been one of my Bigfoot hotspots for many years now. And when I returned to check on my old cryptid hotspot, I found it burnt down and bare. This is Cryptids, and I'm Jenna Bosiger. And if you're interested in wildlife and cryptids, then please hit the like for this video and make sure you're subscribed and hit the notifications bell if you would like to be notified every time I upload new videos or go live. I'm here live at the Hemet fire, that's also known as the Fairview fire, checking out the damage that was done in Batista Canyon. And one of the things I'm very interested in is how it affected the wildlife. And so I'm looking for prints and signs of what happened to the animals, including Bigfoot, because this is one of my Bigfoot hotspots. So it was a freak rainstorm that ultimately put the Fairview fire out. And this was a great thing, but it also created massive mudslides. So as soon as I was able, I went to check the damage, and I found myself in a much different setting than I was used to seeing over the past 7 years. So when the rain put the fire out, there were serious mudslides in the deep river canyons surrounded by rock and dirt. And when the trees and the vegetation are gone, there's nothing to hold the ground from turning to mud and slipping away. I also found this sign posted at my Bigfoot hotspot to be very appropriate because it says that my Bigfoot hotspot is a conservation of rare plants and animals. And for me, that's just more confirmation that my Bigfoot hotspot is indeed a place where Bigfoot lives. And here's the once gigantic cactus that had huge cactus fruit where I let the rattlesnake go that I found in my yard. Now, to see it totally burnt down, including the land all around it, I can't help but wonder if he survived. I know it's possible that sometimes animals can go underground to avoid the fire, but then you think they would probably die from the smoke down there. Hopefully the wildlife is better able to sense fire and avoid it, but I did a little study and found the chances of wildlife surviving fires is basically slim to none. So when I went to the trail to go to the Crown Jewel mine in Batista Canyon, I was shocked to see how bad the fire hit one of my Bigfoot hotspot wilderness areas. The fire burned up most of the dry riverbed, and it was a scene of total devastation. I felt a little nervous out there, all exposed, and also knowing that wildlife moves around and can behave in unusual ways during natural disasters, so I decided not to press my luck by going all the way down to the mine. And I also had forgotten to bring my weapons that day. But it felt wrong to be able to see the bare, naked ground surrounding the trail. Everything was burnt down, and you could walk and see places you never could before. The ground was exposed and visible except for a few remaining charred branches. Gone were all the tall manzanita bushes and other shrubs and the sharp branches of tall thicket that once surrounded this part of the trail. The road had been closed right after the fire and wasn't opened again until October 1st. And the entrance to Batista Canyon was guarded by 2 police officers for the first few days after the fire, then just one, and then a sign saying it was closed. Now, at first I thought the reason for this was to prevent anyone from getting hurt. But after doing my study of how wildlife fares after fires, I began to wonder if the reason they were guarding the place was so that other people could remove all the large dead animals. So I found a print or two, but mostly I just saw a desolate scene devoid of any life. Even the crystals are burnt. But now I just want to talk a little bit about that study I did to see what happens to wildlife when there's a fire. And just tell you that it was extremely unsettling. The images, that is. And there's just a lot of photos I found of herds of dead deer, herds of dead cows. So I'm thinking the reason for the armed guard patrol was not just for cleanup safety, but also to go through and remove any dead large wildlife, including maybe Bigfoot or dogman. Future is concerning when it comes to wildlife and fires.
And this location I'll call the edge. See what looks like a rather long clawed print. And this set of prints is very large for a dog. And I'm using my hand to show for size comparison. And my hand measures 6 inches long. That's a pretty huge dog print. And then a trip back to the riverbed. I'm always cautious when I go there, and I always check this area to make sure there's nobody there before I continue on. And I found the stones with the interesting paint on them, and then I immediately started finding prints. But I just excluded the prints that clearly showed the walk, the pace of a human. So I excluded a lot of those, but you can see the mud in Hemet is amazing, and it's thick. And again, I've said there was a mud flood here, and you can see how thick this mud ledge is, and these mud steps that were created. And when this, first happened, you'd probably be knee deep in mud. And it just again reminds me of the mud flood that happened in Hemet. These prints I see are quite strange. They were up on that mud ridge, and they do just suddenly stop and end. And I tried to look for where they continued or if they jumped off the edge, but I couldn't find anything. And then I got distracted. And moving on, I did find one interesting group of prints out of all of them. These prints are very wide, and they don't show a typical human foot pattern of walking. And they don't show the indentation in the middle of the foot. The toes are very splayed, and even though it's not super long, it's super wide and very unusual, and the prints were far apart. And my shoe measures 10.5 inches long, the entire shoe. I'm a size 8, and that can give you something for comparison. These next prints are at a place I'll call the horse place, because they just got a horse at this place, and it's right on the edge of the wilderness. And I started noticing these prints around the horse and stuff that they're like a dog print that gets real narrow at the heel, and it's the biggest dog print because it's almost as big as my foot. And my foot, like I said, even in these shoes, is 10.5 inches. And so that makes these prints somewhere around 7 or 8 inches, which isn't big for a human print, but which is huge for a dog print. I did a little research for some dogman prints and found these that came up that are very similar to the ones I'm finding.
And that's what I found. That's what I found out. And this is Cryptids, and I'm Jenna Boesiger. And if you are also interested in wildlife and cryptids, then please hit the like for this video, make sure you're subscribed, and hit the notifications bell if you would like to be notified every time I upload new videos or go live. And until next time,